Welcome, Children of the Night, back to another episode of the Infernal Archive, Season 2. On this episode, we'll be watching the... I forgot to look at the fucking year this movie came out.
Let's consult the scroll.
The scroll. Does the scroll have the year? I hope the scroll has. We're watching the movie Pigpen. I don't know what from year. Andrew, yes, read
the scroll. Does not have the year. It'll pop up here right now.
We'll tell you the year.
It'll pop up here somewhere in the graphic.
Yeah.
So orphan 13-year-old Zach gets evicted by his mother's abusive boyfriend, Wayne, when a murder reunites them. A violent revenge plot unfolds between Zach and Wayne, leaving only one survivor in this gritty tale. It's directed by Jason M. Koch. K-O-C-H.
Yep.
It's written by the same Jason M. Koch and Mark Leake. And Lucas Koch, one of the stars. One of the stars is the son's director. Is the son of the director. My God.
One of the stars is the son of the director.
Yeah. There we go.
So there's I think two little interesting, or at least one interesting tidbit I was reading about. So that film, I can't remember for the life of me what it was called, but we watched a pretty excellent film in one of the earlier episodes that was like a hyper independent film, and I want to say we said it cost like $8,000 to make.
Yeah.
This film cost $7,500 to make. And from what I've read online, because I don't know, all I know is what the synopsis is. We couldn't find this movie anywhere except for Tubi. It is on Tubi, and I think you could watch it on Plex, but it is not on any of the streaming services. I can't find it. I think you could buy it on YouTube maybe, but like difficult to find. Very independent film. It doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. And apparently it is just like a huge downer. Like that's the whole. It's like sad horror.
Good.
So,
another downer of a movie.
Yeah.
I guess this kind of what do you expect with horror? Like,
yeah,
you're not expecting to laugh a whole bunch.
No.
Probably.
But I think this one's gonna be
upsetting
from what people say, or anyways. But anyway, $7,500, super independent. That's exciting. I do like to see what people can do with tiny budgets. We're gonna go check out the movie, and we will catch you here when we finish and give you our thoughts.
Get me back, my
Welcome back, Children of the Night, to the Infernal Archive. We just finished watching Pigpen from 2015. And I forgot to mention, we didn't even mention at the beginning of this episode, you might have noticed a bit of a change of attire. Our lovely, dear junior hell priest assistant B grade has been promoted to an executive junior hell priest assistant B grade.
Pretty exciting. Thank you.
We're moving up here.
Moving up.
There's a lot of levels in the organization. We got it's a lot of room for growth.
Well, that's why I first joined. Really.
Yeah,
is that the upward mobility,
the potential. It's just like it doesn't go anywhere. So it's great though. It comes with an increase in pay. I think you're getting like a 0.01% increase. It's very exciting. Is all I'm trying to say.
It's all very technical. It's all very exciting.
We don't got to worry about the payment structure at Hell Priest United over here. But Pigpen. Here we go. So we kind of mentioned before that we saw another independent film in this season. We remembered the name. It was called Found. It's from the year 2012. And we enjoyed that one quite a bit. Like, it had its issues. Maybe the performances were a little amateurish, and it did have some sound recording issues or whatever, and the camera work maybe looked a little like wonk. This film is actually quite good to hold in juxtaposition, because they're similar in budget, similar constraints. I'll say right out the gate, the thing that held this film down the most was the sound recording. The sound was just bad the whole time. There were some scenes that were like more legible than others, and it wasn't always like the worst thing ever, but some scenes were like it was almost unhearable.
It's specifically the sound. If that had been even just a little bit better, it would have made this film just that much more recommendable, I think.
Because I'll say, like, this film is a fucking huge downer. Like, I think we mentioned that in the intro. That's true. It is pretty miserable from the get-go. There's some fucked up content in it. For sure not a film you want to watch if you're not in the mood for, like, the realities of life, some of the darker realities of life, and, like, touches on, like, human trafficking. Like, it gets very dark. It's very, very dark.
The entire film is basically one giant all is lost moment.
Yes, exactly. Like it's never like there are good parts or like parts I'm not happy, but like I guess better parts, or you might say, but for the most part the film is kind of a huge downer. It's kind of like a Requiem for a Dream type deal. Like you got to be in the mood for that type of downturn or whatever. But I will say I thought the film was actually really good and really intriguing. It's another one just like Found. It's like the script is so intriguing in the way it's written and the way it's parsed out and the way that the narrative unfolds that you're just you're so interested to see what happens from the beginning to the end that it even though the sound recording was shit, and it was fucking shit.
It was real bad.
It like it doesn't make up for it, but it gets you through that, which is like I think
definitely one of those things where it's like if you're going to be doing something like on a low budget scale, borderline amateurish, you've got to come correct with a really good idea and an interesting, unique idea that you can execute reasonably. And I think that's the thing that Found and Pigpen both had in common. Their writer director in both cases, I think, had a clear vision, clear idea of what their constraints were, tried to kind of push up against those as much as they could, but ultimately the uniqueness of that script and that idea is what kind of carries the whole thing.
I'd say like you brought up like it pushing up against its own constraints. Like one place where this film was like oddly better than a lot of big budget films I've seen was in the effects. Like obviously there's gore in this film and there's blood and stuff, and it looked better than a lot of other movies. And I was like, this is hitting and it's feeling realistic, and I'm not patronizing the movie. No. It feels real and it feels fucked up, and I got to give the movie huge props for that, because wasn't expecting it to be that ambitious with its like practical effects work or whatever. But yeah, just to level, like it's the to me, I don't know, the movie felt like pretty original. It just had a very strong concept. It basically, if I had to summarize this film in a way doesn't spoil anything, a kid has the worst fucking day of his life, or worst like 2 or 3 days,
couple days
of his life. Like
his life is already pretty shit.
Yeah.
And then over the course of 3 days, it's much worse.
Yeah. and something we bring up on the show sometimes is like I get frustrated with films that kind of make a thesis statement at the beginning. I always say, like, most movies that have a concept, have an idea, they'll present a thesis statement at the beginning, like, this is the kind of movie we're making. And I always get really frustrated when at the end of a movie, and this happens with horror a lot, they decide to buck the thesis of the movie and they just interject like a happy ending, or they interject an ending that just doesn't feel consistent with the tone and the genre and the messaging of the film. This film did not fucking do that, and I'm very happy with that. They had a thesis statement at the beginning. And like I said, the summary of the movie, this is the worst couple days of this kid's life. And the movie continues that throughout. It doesn't get to the ending and all of a sudden it's like, oh, sunshine and rainbows, and it's
like, oh, things are going to be looking up for this guy. Like, no.
Because that's not what this movie is about. This movie is about...
It is just, like, if you want to be upset at the end of a movie, this is the one to watch.
Yeah. It's very Requiem for a Dream.
I don't know if I would really classify this as, I guess, the slasher element, serial killer thing. It's very, like, horror adjacent to me, not really traditional horror in any way, I would say. But I
would agree. I actually think that this one skirted the line more than some, because we've had that comment about a couple of the movies we've watched on the show, and I actually think this one skirted that line a little better. There's one scene in particular. There's two scenes actually they're horrific in, I guess, a more realistic manner. There's one scene, I don't want to get into what specifically happens, but like a man assaults a woman essentially, like towards the beginning, and the way it was shot, it felt like something. The tension I was feeling felt like something from a Tarantino movie. And whereas a Tarantino movie will be more fun, obviously, and a little more tongue-in-cheek, but that scene at the beginning of Inglourious Basterds when the Nazi guy is interviewing the Frenchman and like...
You're sheltering enemies of the state, are you not?
Yes.
You're sheltering them underneath your floorboards, aren't you?
Yes.
Point out to me the areas where they're hiding.
so fucking tense. Or like when they're in the bar, Inglourious Basterds is a great example, and like there's the whole 3 fingers or whatever, and it just like you're like you can cut the tension with a knife. This felt like that, where it's like, I would do anything to get out of this. Like, please let this situation end. And I was like very impressed, and equally because of the situation, it felt horrific. It was like, I don't want to be here because this is fucked up. And
That's
it's
true.
It's like its
That's
own.
true.
It's not Michael Myers horror, but it's a little more in that like Ari Aster. It kind of reminded me of like, not in the same way, but like in Hereditary when the thing happens and the person, a horrific thing happens, and then there's a scene when there's grief being portrayed.
Yeah.
It's also like I would do anything to not be in this fucking house right now.
Yeah.
And it's a weird, it's like a sub horror genre. It's like its own little.
What was the one we
corner.
watched where we just watched it? The couple gets like murdered, like they're on the trip.
Like with Michael Fassbender?
Yeah.
That was Eden Lake, I think.
Eden Lake, yeah. This is like same vein as Eden Lake.
Yeah.
Of just like you want to watch a really upsetting thing where people just have a terrible time.
Yeah.
This is like that subgenre. I think Alex
Like
actually
real life horror, like
yeah. Well, that's the whole category is realistic, I guess. This
Yeah.
definitely fits in that
Yeah,
category.
that's true. It's like this, the category for the season was realism.
But there's like a subcategory that's kind of emerged.
Yeah.
Alex shared it on social media. We'll have to like put it on the screen
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
here. But
Yeah.
like it's like a list of these movies that all are like, it's something along the lines of like, just you want to have a really bad time watching these. This is
like downer horror.
Yeah.
Depression horror. I don't know what you call it. But so yeah, with that being said, yeah, I don't know. I do recommend this movie. I once again, I don't think it's a movie that I recommend to
It's not for
a
everyone.
general audience.
No.
Like most people are gonna get so frustrated with the sound. They're gonna be like, this is so distracting. But if you're a filmmaker, I think this would be a great movie to watch. Once again, it's like They use $7,500 budget. They just found people who like the performances. I thought were actually quite good, and even some of the characters, like we mentioned that I think it was the director's son was kind of the main character in the film. I believe that's who that was.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's not like a particularly strong performer, but they wrote the script in a way that it got
catered
around
his,
that.
It leaned heavily on his look rather than
totally.
his. Yeah.
And it's like the kid was good at portraying like a bum teenager kind of, and so they made sure the script was like he kind of says like okay, sure, like that's kind of like he doesn't do a lot more than that in the film, which was good. It was very intelligent. And then they had like our main sociopathic fucking murderer guy. He actually I thought was a strong performer. Like he would have benefited from like maybe a director who could have given him more time, a little more like. I think he's a guy you could get a dynamite performance because some of his scenes were fucking good. Some of them were like just a little off or whatever, but I think he is a good actor, and I think you could get really good performances out of him. And I was impressed by what he was able to deliver.
Yeah, the constraints I kind of probably were what held that back. I would say. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. But yeah, in terms of where the script goes, and another really nice thing that is worth mentioning, and that I love in good movies, is and there's a lot of different ways to achieve this, but it's a build, right? It's like you don't want to. Long Legs to me I don't want to shit on this movie, but to me what I didn't enjoy about it was I loved the beginning of Long Legs. I thought it was brilliant, and I thought it was really effective, and it was creepy, and it was original, and I just was like, yes, I'm so ready for this movie to be brilliant. And then the movie never got as good as the intro to me again. It was never that intriguing, and I was like, that's really too bad or whatever, and that really held it back for me. But this movie, it begins, and it doesn't begin in any sort of like crazy fashion, but the film has this steady build of like fucked up stuff that happens and reveals and whatever up until this like crescendo where it's like basically you go from like, oh, this is a realistic bad day, this is just a really bad day or whatever, and then oh fuck, this is serious and we've got things are bad and really bad and we can never go back from it. We're at a point of no return or whatever. And then the film kept that excitement really right up until the ending, and then we had a big thematically appropriate ending, I feel. So yeah, I don't know. I think the script was good. It was really good. It's the type of thing where if this had been made by somebody if they just had a sound team, honestly, like
it's the only thing I can really think that was like really missing.
Yeah, it's like
maybe a couple of the actors, like you round out the cast a little bit more, but like the main pieces were all there. Like the mom was pretty good. The main psychopath, whatever boyfriend was good.
Yep.
the kid for what his role was
Yep.
he had the right look and the right whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, like, that's
The
really
Good Samaritan character,
Yeah.
great. He
Yeah,
also
yeah.
had some great lines, some really good writing that was like, intriguing and weird and like, what? Who is this? Is like such. He could have been the most milquetoast character and would have served the story purpose fine. But they decided to give him like a monologue, where it's like, what? Like this is interesting and it's intriguing and I'm enjoying listening to this or whatever. And it's same. There's there's these two homeless characters, like a couple. And so the kid, I'll just spoil a little bit. So there's kid main character. At the beginning, he ends up being like kind of homeless. His deadbeat stepdad says like, get out of the house and don't fucking come back till you have $50. So for a couple days, he like lives on the streets, and he runs into this homeless couple, and they like help him, and they sort of give him the rundown of like, this is how the streets work, kid. And that too was like really interesting, and the way they presented that situation and the way that the dialogue was presented and the dynamic was interesting. And I was like, this is better than this movie has any right to be. Like this is way more interesting than this movie should be. So yeah, I will say, like, I think the writing, I think the script was like very good, like very good, better than a lot of other stuff we've seen on the show. But yeah,
I would agree.
The sound design just held it back. I'll say that the cinematography, like to me, I think they shot it with like a DSLR. It looked kind of like what like the movie shot with like a Canon 5D would look like that early millennium style or whatever. So like the dynamic range wasn't great. Sometimes when they tried to do complicated lighting, it was like it felt a little too much, and then it got into that like Hallmark soap opera territory. But
especially paired with the audio.
Yeah,
because it's hard to divorce the 2 really. Yeah.
But when they leaned into like the natural lighting and like if they had a single point light source and stuff like that, then and they just leaned into the fact that it's a low budget film and we're gonna use the street light as our lighting source and that kind of thing, it actually worked really well, and I found it very convincing. Yeah, so don't watch this movie because I don't think you'll probably enjoy it. But if you're a filmmaker and you want to see what you can do with an independent, you want to see how ambitious you can get with a script, watch this movie. Like, look, nothing's stopping you. There's no amount of money that's stopping you from writing an intriguing script that has a great build and has good characters and that stuff. Like, that is free. That's
budget.
That's up to you.
That's not budget constraint. By
Yeah,
any
totally.
means.
Alrighty. So, Andrew, do you have anything else you want to?
No, I think I'm just excited for the rest of this category. Like this movie surprised me. We've had a couple that have like actually genuinely surprised me, and going in, I've been like, I don't know. And then, that was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
So
Excellent argument. Approved.
Well, we will bring out the Unholy Wheel. I really got to give this thing like a definitive name because I keep calling it different things. The Unholy Wheel of Suffering and Damage and Return Goods. Here we go. There we go. There's the wheel, and then our little red dot is here.
right here, don't
And-
lift it by that.
Oh shit! And the spotlight is on. Excellent. And then our little red lights are on. Good. Okay, and we spin it my way, right?
Yeah,
Anyway?
I think so.
Okay, and the wheel spins. Our film on the next episode will be
Yeah.
Still haven't figured out a good way to figure this out. Will be I Saw the Devil from 2010. The film on the next episode of the Infernal Archive will be I Saw the Devil from the year 2010. Wow. Okay, wheel goes away. Now what we would usually do in this section is we would talk about the Rotten Tomatoes score. Unluckily,
There is no Rotten Tomatoes.
there is no
score.
Rotten Tomatoes score. The film's not on Rotten Tomatoes. Like I said, it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. It is people who have seen it seem to be fond of it. They seem to like overlook its flaws, and because of its low budget nature and because of how strong the script is, they seem to like a lot of the sentiment behind this film. I think they share with us or whatever. It's a film that, despite all its flaws, it surpasses them and is well regarded.
I think a great example of how I think expectation, and we've said this I'm sure before, but like how expectations can make or break a movie when in terms of going into it.
Yeah.
And there's something about having low expectations, this underdog kind of production of like low budget, and when you're going in with those low expectations and the writing is any positive seems even more positive. Whereas a film like Long Legs, for example, not to shit on it too much, but that movie, the marketing and all that stuff, my expectations are way up here, right? And because my expectations are here, if it doesn't exactly meet that, everything is I'm gonna be way more critical just naturally without trying. So
yeah, it's sometimes a film's biggest enemy can just be like you said, expectations going in, and yeah, it's really too bad. But Don't fucking market your movies with bullshit marketing. Don't say this is the greatest fucking thing ever made of all time, because then I'm going to expect the greatest thing ever made of all time. Don't do it. Why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, you're just
say.
Have you ever heard of under promise, over deliver?
Yeah, just say it's pretty good. Like, it's all
it's
right.
they say of Morbius, it is a film of all time.
Yeah, just say that. And then it's like we're gonna go in. We'll be like, hey, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, my children of the night, and we will catch you next time on an episode of the Infernal Archive where we watch I Saw the Devil from 2010.